outside of Buffalo, New York, and went to high school, went to a Jesuit high school. I went to college at Cornell University and majored in engineering, and then moved on to my first job was in California. I was a swimming coach, and that's what drew me out here. And then after that, I started working for a company that sent me overseas to Saudi Arabia. I worked there for a year, and then continued on with a career in the Silicon Valley in California. Well, I was inspired to become an author because I just enjoyed writing, and that was a dream, to write something that would become published and that everybody would read. That was just a wonderful dream that I had. Now, my engineering background taught me to think very logically, and as I looked around and I saw the science fiction I was very interested in, but the problem is my engineering background made me very critical of science fiction, because a lot of it was just more fantasy world kind of things. Even Star Trek, which I grew up with when I was a teenager, I kept saying to myself, well, how can they walk around the ship when there's no gravity? I kept questioning these kinds of things, and the engineering background said that, boy, I'd like to be an author, but I'd have to be a true to fact author, not just make stuff up. Well, the transition was very easy because I retired. So there wasn't much of a transition. I was done with that. I was moving on to the next chapter of my life. It wasn't a very difficult transition, I wouldn't say. Well, writing a book and getting it published was a fantastic thing. It made me very happy and proud. It made my wife and my family very happy and proud, and it was a wonderful thing. And I would encourage any young person that wants to be an author to go ahead and give it a shot, because it's wonderful if you could get something published. Well, writing a book is tough, and it's well, first of all, you get a lot of rejection letters, and that's tough. But beyond that, it's just as you write a book about science, and you're trying to, and I'm trying to keep things as rigorous as I can, writing about science, and almost every sentence I had to stop and say, can I really say that? Is that really, is that scientifically accurate, what I'm saying? So it's tough, it's a challenge. Oh, I think getting published was tremendous, and going around and seeing your book in the bookstores and on Amazon and everything, hey, look at that, that's me, that's great. Well, swimming is great because it's not really a team sport, but it is in the sense that you're swimming with a bunch of people on the same team, and you all have a common goal, and you develop very, very strong friendships. And some of the people that I knew from swimming when I was in high school or college, they become my lifelong friends. And that's really, really wonderful. It really is. When we keep up, and it's almost like a little club that we have that we talk a lot and give each other support when we need it. And but beyond that, swimming is a healthy thing to keep up. And I kept swimming competitively, really, because they have master's programs now. So I kept swimming competitively till I was in my 40s, which is pretty hard to do because you get older, your body doesn't move as well, and you have to work very hard to approach what you used to be able to do. But I still swim as an exercise. It's a nice thing to do. One thing that really inspired me was there was a song a few years ago by Christina Perry called 1,000 Years. And it was waiting for somebody for 1,000 years. And it was a love song that was a really beautiful song. And I think it was written about vampires or something, but I that song stuck in my mind, and I said, I can imagine a situation with real human beings where you could wait 1,000 years for somebody, and that was a big inspiration. Now, another thing that inspired me was the idea of, so many stories have been written about time travel, about going to the past, and learning a little bit about science and physics. I don't know if that's ever going to be possible, but one thing that is possible that inspired me was you could go to some place that's another planet that's like the Earth but younger. So you're really, in effect, you're going to the Earth as it existed maybe millions of years ago, and it wasn't an exact replica, but you could approximate the past by doing that, and that was another inspiration to me. Well, the book opens up when Josh gets laid off from his job, and he's a very smart guy, as becomes apparent from the book and everything that he's able to accomplish. But his boss doesn't like him, and he gets laid off, and it's pretty much a low point in his life, because he finds it very, very hard to find another job, and it's just a real tough situation, and then Laura faces exactly the same thing. And that's how they get together, was they share this common low point in their lives, and how do you crawl out of that? Then he finds this opportunity about become a space traveler, and that's what sets him off. But I think really, getting laid off from work as I think a lot of people can relate to this, it's a pretty tough on your ego experience. It's a tough thing. So Josh and Laura both went through that, and Josh found his way out with by this space traveling job, and Laura just decided to wait for him. Well, they were very much in love, but it was an interesting thing that they fell in love very quickly, and their love lasted for thousands of years, basically. I mean, it's Laura was cryogenically frozen, so it wasn't a real 1,000 years, but it was a long time that she waited for Josh, and Josh was always looking forward to getting back to Laura, and it was just their love that propelled them forward. It's yeah. Well, what emotions? I think first of all, to experience the love and understand that the beauty of being in love and lasting love for a long period of time, and adjusting and the love hanging on as you adjust to new environments, that's probably the biggest thing that a breeder can enjoy and appreciate. Well, and just rising up from the pit, like being laid off from work, and just you don't give up, just figure out what you want to do and just go after it. Oh yeah, what inspired the science part of it? I think my idea that you could go to the future by cryogenically freezing yourself. This is a little bit in the future, and you could go to the past by visiting a similar planet to Earth, but younger than Earth, and then you would, in a sense, go back in the past on Earth, but now as far as alien life forms and all this, I had to borrow that a lot from just regular science fiction, but I think everything that I did, there was a practical science justification for it. Like, Josh would be on the planet and he'd start wondering, well, why are these animals, why do they look like this? And he would try to figure it out. It wouldn't just be, here I am on this planet and there are purple dragons with long tails flying around. I mean, it wasn't like that. It was, what is going on? Why is this different or similar to Earth? And so it was like that. Yeah. Well, Laura, she was experienced the same thing as Josh. She got laid off from her job and was really at a low point. And would like to go back to work and do something in her future world, but and went to several interviews, but it for one reason or another, it was hard for her to get a job that she was qualified for because her technological background was so far removed, and it was going to be impossible for her to catch up. So the one area that worked for her was getting into law, and she liked this idea of environmental law where you try to preserve the environment, and you go after people that are polluters and whatever, things like that. So but I think part of it was just by default that she couldn't find anything else that was practical and meaningful and that didn't require years and years of learning to do the job. Well, again, it's when Josh and Laura both experienced a huge loss when they were laid off from their jobs and couldn't find another job, and it really was almost inspiring how they just hung on there and just kept going and eventually found this space travel opportunity and all the adventures that resulted from that. It was inspiring, really, how they recovered from that. Well, obviously, pursue your dreams. Don't give up, and figure out what you really want to do and go after it. That's probably it. The reader can learn from the struggles of Josh and Laura that if you figure out what you want to do and go after it, you'd be surprised, because a lot of times it'll work out for you. I don't have any real hard projects in mind, but the things that interest me are like what if stories. Like, for example, what if President Kennedy never got assassinated, or what if what if Archduke Ferdinand in 1914 never got assassinated? World War I didn't happen, and then maybe World War II doesn't happen either. And there's a lot of interesting things that can come out of some of these what if questions. So I'm interested in that. Now what if stories take an enormous amount of research, and but it would be interesting to take something like that on. Boy, I don't know. I just haven't thought about my writing evolving. I just try to think of some good ideas to write about and then go and write it. And if my writing evolves, then so be it. I'm not actively trying to evolve my writing.